Hello everybody! I hope you're all doing just fine and that you are ready to continue learning. Today we're going to be talking about the second conditional. So, when do we use the second conditional? We use it thinking about the future, a condition and a result. We use it to express something like a dream, to talk about something that is not real, but it is slightly possible. And we use it to talk about imaginary situations. Here's an example. If I won the lottery, I would travel around the world. So let's take a look at how it is formed. In the first part, if I won the lottery, you have the if clause, which is called the conditional clause. And you have if plus a past simple, won. Then you have a comma, and you have the second part, which is the result, or it can also be called the main clause. In this part, you have would plus the verb in base form, would travel. So this is how we form the second conditional. If plus past simple, comma, and then would plus bare infinitive. Let's take a look at some more examples. If he had lots of money, he would buy a Ferrari. If Ed Sheeran were my friend, I would ask him to sing at my wedding. So, must we always begin with the conditional clause? No, you can begin with the conditional clause or with the result clause or the main clause. The message you convey is the same, no matter the order you express it in. Here are some examples. If he had lots of money, he would buy a Ferrari. That's the same we said before. Now let's invert the order. He would buy a Ferrari if he had lots of money. It's conveying or communicating the same thing. The other example we saw, if Ed Sheeran were my friend, I would ask him to sing at my wedding. So let's invert the order. I would ask Ed Sheeran to sing at my wedding if he were my friend. Notice that when we're doing the inverted order, we do not have to use a comma, all right, before the if. Now let's contrast the first conditional and the second conditional. The first conditional predicts the result of a future action, while the second conditional expresses an imaginary or unreal situation about the future. But both of them are talking about the future. The first conditional describes something that is possible and could really happen, whilst the second conditional describes something that is possible but will almost certainly not happen. The first conditional is formed with if or when or as soon as, plus the present simple, and then will plus bare infinitive. That would be the future with will. The second conditional is formed with if plus the past simple, and then would plus the bare infinitive. And we have an example. In the first conditional, if it rains, I'll need my umbrella. This is expressing that there is a probability of rain. But if I were in a desert, I would have to use a second conditional. If it rained, I'd need my umbrella, but it's highly improbable. Now, the example that I have in the second conditional is, if the quarantine ended, I'd go out with my friends. But this is not close to happening. Sometimes the choice between the first and second conditional is not so clear. We often choose the first or second conditional based on our opinion of a situation. In other words, if we feel something or someone can do something, then we'll choose the first conditional because we believe it's a real possibility. Let's take a look. In the first conditional, if I say, if James studies a lot, he will pass the exam. What am I saying? I am saying that in my opinion, James is a good student, that he is committed to his studies, so I am sure he'll study and therefore pass his exam. Now, if I express it as a second conditional sentence, if James studied harder, he would pass the exam. What I am conveying is that I think James is not a very committed student, so I really doubt he will study for the exam and pass. Let's take a look at another example. Kelly will go on vacation if her boss grants her permission. So what am I saying? That Kelly's boss seems to be a nice guy, so it is very probable that he'll grant her permission. What would happen if I expressed it in the second conditional? Kelly would go on vacation if her boss granted her permission. It seems that Kelly's boss isn't very nice, so it's quite improbable that he'll grant her permission. Maybe she'll even get some extra work. Okay? So it depends on my opinion too. Now you need to have in mind that you can use the auxiliaries should, could, or might instead of would. For example, I could quit my job if I won the lottery. I'm using could, but I could also say would. I would quit my job if I won the lottery. Okay? Then we have another example. If we were rich, we might have a house in Hawaii. Or the same would be expressed if I said, if we were rich, we would have a house in Hawaii. If the dog were trained, it shouldn't pee inside the house, which is basically the same as saying if the dog were trained, it wouldn't pee inside the house. I hope this is clear. Thank you very much. Have a great day.